10,
Something's going
9,
on my side too. There we go.
8,
Oh my.
7, 6,
Joanne, I'm so sorry. I know you need help, and I
5,
can't figure out how to help you right now from where
4,
I'm
3,
at.
2, 1.
Okay.
Oh my
We
goodness.
can chit chat a little
did
bit during the
decent
show,
countdown.
and I will help you out. Try to help
No,
you out.
she needs to call Evan over, okay? Or her
Oh,
one of her grandbabies, and have them look at it for her.
can her grandbabies do that?
No.
Listen, these grandbabies know more than us. Hello, everybody.
Hello,
evening.
hello.
I'm trying to find her name.
I'm trying to share the thing here. How was y'all's day? Wait, what is today? I don't even know what today is.
Today's
Tuesday.
Tuesday. And I didn't even take a nap. That's the problem. It's
Your
because
eyes do look sleepy.
Yeah, because I didn't take a nap, and then we did some physical exercise. It's like throwing me all off. It's throwing me all off.
You did physical exercise.
Yeah, we went 2 days in a row. Have gone biking.
Oh, good for you.
You know what? Biking has been just kind of pretty awesome. What do y'all think?
Yeah, it's been awesome. Yeah, I'm just like,
get the right bike. Yeah.
So you remember we sold our cruisers and ended up getting mountain bikes.
Yes.
My daughter was.
Did you get a new seat though?
Out of here, and she just tripped over there.
She tripped
over there.
Where are we at? Yeah, we got one for Cade, and he was like, "Okay, max he can do on it is it's more comfortable, but it's like, Mom, 5 miles. I'm ready to go home."
Did he look at it and was like, "Oh, that's a nice bike, Mom"? And that's about it.
No, he rides it, but we got him a new seat, and it's still not very comfortable.
Oh, did you get him the purple seat?
No, they're not in stock.
Oh,
nothing's in stock right now. Nothing.
I know.
And then
hi, Carrie.
Eric got a flat, so he had to get.
So he got a brand new bike and a flat.
No, we bought used mountain bikes because there's none.
You got brand used,
right?
New to us.
So Balana's boyfriend was with us yesterday, and we went on a bike ride yesterday. But listen to this. His bike got stolen out of his friend's backyard, and the gate was locked.
Are you sure his friend just didn't take it?
Yeah, the friend put it inside the house. Surely.
I don't know. What's weird though is Balana had stored her bike over there, and her bike didn't get stolen. His bike got stolen. So he had to get another used bike, and he had 2 flat tires. And he replaced both of the tubes, and he got 2 more flat tires.
Oh my gosh!
I was like, "There's this poor dude." I don't know.
Hi, Priscilla. Hi, Carrie.
Ha.
Yeah, so he's just not having a good day there with his bike. But
what's his name again?
His name's James.
Hey, James. I'm sorry for you. It sucks to be you, dude.
Yeah, James, that's awful.
It really is. You know, if y'all took James's bike or y'all can help him, we will give you a reward. We will give you a shout out on this show.
We will.
Yes, an absolute
shout
out.
All 3 of us. Yeah.
Oh, this is so annoying me, man.
I'm sorry, dude. I know
my
how
lighting
that
is just like killing me.
Right? It's a little off, huh?
Yeah, I'm like,
you remember last night you were like buzzing out. You were doing some stuff too.
Uh-huh.
Was it last night?
A kid bike from our perspective, so yes, it would be a kid's bike.
For these.
Well,
Sandy, just tell that boy to take a throw pillow from the couch. Save that money.
Carrie, why'd you have to remind me of throw pillows? I came home to news that Johnny Cash had eaten one of my throw pillows.
Oh no!
My goodness!
And I'm like,
so sorry.
Who wanted a puppy? Who wanted a puppy?
Who wanted a puppy?
Sorry.
Speaking of puppies, guys, our business of the day happens to be Rocking Paw Dog Training and Kennels. So Jolynn Payne is a dear friend of mine and also the owner of Rocking Paw Dog Training and Kennels. And she is the one who keeps all of my pets when we travel. And so we board. She is an amazing trainer. I don't think she would say I was an amazing pupil, though. But anyway, so you guys can reach her on her Facebook page, Rocking Paw.
Is that her right there, Sandy?
That is her, yes. And all of her rooms, y'all, they are themed, okay? She does theme rooms for all of her dogs.
And this is in Lubbock.
Yes. Well, her address is 6634 Foster Road in Ropesville. So she's super close to me. So that's why
Okay.
Jolynn is up the street. She does agility. Well, I don't know if she's doing agility as much as she used to. Now she's doing like freestyle dance with her dogs. And what's my
Whoa.
dog doing? Chewing pillows. Okay. I mean, just that's kind of level where we're at right
He's
now.
not
Oh,
there
wow.
yet. He'll get there. He'll get there.
Can I
Yeah.
tell you, Sandy, that was an excellent segue into the business of the day. That's
I
probably
know.
like the best transition that we've ever had into the business of the day. I'm gonna
Wait.
put that out there.
Thank
What
you.
was that again?
Joe.
Dang it!
Do what? You're gonna have to go back and watch it.
I didn't get. I know, but I was like, dang it! I was trying to pay attention for it, and then so I could get it up and running over here.
Yeah, no, it was very smooth. It was very
Um,
smooth.
That's what Sandy does.
Josh's ultimate goal is going to be a therapy dog once he stops chewing pillows.
He'll get there.
Man.
And so
Aw.
therapy dogs are amazing. And so she offers all of that certification and good stuff. And her dogs are all golden. Well, no, she's got several different, but her goldens, she takes them to school and does like reading therapy with kids.
Look at that guy.
Jolynn
He's
is
got the
amazing.
socks on. That's so cute.
Yes.
That's a huge dog. Look at that.
I know it.
He's massive.
And she just posted so many pictures of her new puppy classes. So anyway, guys, y'all give Rock and Paw Dog Training and Kennels a like. I have posted it in the comments for you guys. Okay.
Perfect. So, Jamie, I hope you're having a better day today. Is everything good today?
Things are different. So I told myself, I was like, I promised people that I was gonna have a better face in front of the camera for our guests, and we're gonna really focus on them this week. And so that is what I'm committed to, and that is what I'm doing. So
That is good. So,
yes.
how was your day otherwise?
Oh, my head was pounding this morning. It was a pretty emotional night last night, and so then I was like, man, I can't even. Sorry, we
Sorry.
disturbed you.
Oh, did we wait?
Sorry. Your time's
I
up, Jamie.
apologize. Okay, thank you.
Jamie, time's up. Wrap it up, buddy.
I did take this really cool picture of my little buddy today. I cleaned out his cage today or this weekend, and I felt really good about it. And I was like, "Oh, you got a fresh plate," because I lost him, guys. This
Oh
is
yes,
Beast.
tell us that story. That was funny.
Okay, so I have two snakes that I love very much. They're our family snakes, and one of them, her name was Beauty when I got her, but then recently I found out Beauty was actually a beast.
Beauty's
And
a
I'm like,
dude.
oh, Beast,
How do
I'm
you tell,
sorry.
How do you tell that?
I'll actually show you one day, but it's just the
Okay.
length of their tail. It's not hard, but it's harder when they're younger. But when they start getting into adult, it's easier to tell if they're female or male. Okay.
Okay, interesting.
After
anyway.
they've shed it a couple of times.
Yeah. So I went in and I was like, okay, let's do this. Got to do this every month or two. He's got a big cage, so I was like, I took everything out. I was cleaning him up. I was like, where did I put him? And then I had this big box. I was like, I just put him there. I know he's probably not going to stay there. Put him in there, cleaned everything out, really gave it a nice, good, deep clean. I felt good. I was like, man, this boy's going to have a nice, clean home. And so I got everything, got the new Aspen in there. I bleached his stuff and cleaned it, dried it, and all that stuff. Put his water bowl in there, put it in. And then I was looking around. I was like, well, this isn't going to be complete without Beast. And I lost Beast. And I was like, okay, what do I do now? So I just kind of sat there on my couch. I was like, yeah, this is going to be hard. And so I was just kind of waiting around. I was like, I know what I'll do. TikTok. And so TikTok seems to suck time out of my life for like hours at a time, I feel like. So
Right.
I did that, and then I put it down. And I was like, oh, there he is right there. And I sent a little picture because I could see his little tail sticking out. And I was like, he really thinks he can hide by hiding his head and leaving his tail out in the open. So I was
That
like,
is
okay.
awesome.
So, do y'all know where he was? Everybody, he was under the pillow waiting for Jamie.
He was like this.
Still on there. Yeah. Excellent.
What
So
are we
this
gonna
was
do?
So this is him chilling in there because he ate a grip load this week. I was like, I'm gonna feed you up on 3 large mice this time, and I did, and he is resting in there. But he does this thing where he likes to slide in there. So whenever you change snakes' bedding, they love to just go throughout the whole thing. So he chills in there, and then when I come around, he'll come out and stick his head out, and he'll just like look up and wait. And if I move again, he'll like kind of slip out. He's like, "Can I come out? Can I come out?"
He's like eyeballing you.
Yeah. And so every time I walk, it's like that cat video. When you turn around, you look around, he's a little bit more out. and a little bit more, a little bit more.
He gets a
And
little
Right.
closer every time.
He's
every
like,
time.
you live to see another day, Jamie.
so he was like, where are you? And then he's like looking at me there, and I'm like, oh, okay.
So, Jamie, give us a estimate on the size of him. How big is he?
Yeah, because if he eats rats, I want to know how
No,
big
he eats
that is.
mice,
He
large
eats
mice.
Yeah,
Okay,
I actually
thank
got
you.
pictures of him.
Rats, mice.
So can you see right there?
How big is this?
He's probably about 3 to 4 feet long.
Is he going to get bigger?
No, he's already at his adult size. Here he is chilling out in my hand.
Okay.
So you see this little bulge right here, Sandy?
Yes.
No? Okay, so that means they call it a hemipenis.
A what?
And a hemipenis. It's
Like
not
a Hemi engine?
Yeah, I don't know if it's like that, but I'll just let your imagination go for a little bit. But from that's his coacle. I can't pronounce it right. But from that spot to the tip of his tail, you can tell it's kind of long, like super long. And that means the longer it is, it's a boy because he needs space. You know how those are his pants. He's got to like.
So he doesn't wear skinny jeans.
No. So a female is going to have a shorter distance from her coacle.
From her colloquial?
Yes, to the tip of her tail. Okay.
Those red eyes, though.
Aren't they beautiful?
Nice.
Yeah.
Hey, Jamie.
Yeah.
Who do we have on the show today?
So, guys, we've been doing this whole wellness series, right? We're talking about the 7 dimensions of wellness. And one of those dimensions, it's spiritual. So we asked a good buddy of mine up here in Bloomington-Normal. His name is Nick Neargarder, and he leads the Bloomington Church of Christ up here. And I thought it'd be great to ask him to come on. Now, one of the things I definitely want to preface here is this isn't a time for, you're not coming to a Sunday afternoon or morning preaching service, okay? So Nick's not going to be here to preach at all of us, and the goal is not to make us feel what?
Amen.
I was going to say hallelujah.
Like, whoa.
Because we may not be friends after this.
So Nick is going to talk about just the spiritual aspect of what it means to be spiritually well. And so I hope you all bring your questions in, put anything on the table. If he doesn't know, he's not going to be able to answer, but just put them out there, okay? And without further ado, let's welcome Nick Neargarder.
Hey, Nick.
Hi, Nick Neargarder.
Let me get the clapping. Let me get the clapping going.
Oh, nice.
The studio audience is saying hi. So
Eden saying,
I cleaned up your upstairs.
Oh, thank you, baby. That was sweet of you. Thank you. Good night.
Bye. Good night, Mom.
See,
good night.
She's making sure I don't say something I shouldn't about something she cares about that I was kidding her about the other day.
Oh, yeah, that's right. She's gone now. Yeah. Okay, I'm waiting for her to close the door. Anyway, you know how it is when your kids are around. You're like, I'm too distracted sometimes.
Right.
So you're like, what's the question? Just go away.
Yeah. So anyway, hey Nick, I'm glad you got to join us tonight. I know this isn't normally your waking time, your waking hours, so I appreciate you staying up later than normal, right? But I know you. Joe and Sandy and a lot of our guests may not know you, so why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to be where you're at, or tell us a little bit about yourself and where it is you're at exactly in life right now.
All right, sounds good. Hey, I appreciate the amen and the hallelujah. So really feel great about that. It's how I got here is it's hard to put in just a short amount of thoughts. I'll come back to that. As far as some of the highlights of who I am, married to a wonderful woman, Dee, my high school sweetheart. So we just celebrated our 36th anniversary.
Oh,
so
congratulations!
Thanks. Super blessed with her. We have 3 amazing kids. We have 3 grandkids, and that family is huge for me. I'm big on family. Grew up with there were 6 kids in my family, so I really am a big family guy.
So there's always someone to play with in your family.
Right.
Yeah. Always someone to play with, fight with,
or beat up, right?
Yeah. Just depends on the day, what's going on. As far as how I got here, I'm a minister, and I didn't start off with the idea that I was going to be a minister. I started off as an engineer. I got my degree in engineering, and I was thinking about how did I end up here? how exactly did that happen? And I think generally, I've been on a journey kind of all my life. And I think I'm still on that journey. And I really think that's when you talk about spiritual wellness, I think we're all on a journey, to be quite honest. Some of us may realize we're on a journey and some of us may not, but I do think we're all on a journey. And my journey has taken a bunch of different chapters. Sandy mentioned that she's Catholic. I grew up Catholic. And so part of my journey is going to church every Sunday when I was a kid, Catholic church. I learned some of the big picture things about who God is, and that there is a God, and what does that all mean? And then I had another chapter in high school when I joined a group called Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and that chapter started me reading the Bible. I've never read the Bible before, and so that was kind of this whole new chapter about me trying to digest this book called the Bible. And then I had another chapter after that where I studied the Bible with some people in Cincinnati, and I really kind of took what I knew and I started to understand a concept that I think was healthy for me and maybe is healthy in this discussion today, is that truth can unfold. That if we are on a journey, then if our truth is allowed to unfold and we're not just static in a box, I think that's a healthy place to be, where we can discover new things in a spiritual realm. And I feel like I've discovered different chapters throughout my life of facets about spirituality, spiritual wellness, that's brought me to where I am today.
Awesome.
So that's a nutshell. I don't know what else you may want to know, but there you go. There's a starting point.
Nice.
One of the things that stood out to me when you were saying towards the end, Nick, was I don't know how you said it exactly, but something about, like, the way I read it was not forcing myself or others to be stuffed into a box of some kind, but that it's okay to actually, like, if you're in the box, it's okay to come out of the box and kind of see what's around it too, and things like that. And so practically for me, that means, like, kind of like you, if I'm studying something out, it's okay, spiritually speaking, to look and see what's out there spiritually speaking. What is it that encourages other people in their spiritual beliefs and things? And so I like that. I like the way you said that. So.
Amen. I'll give you an amen.
I welcome that. So tell us a little bit about the congregation that you're a part of and that you lead.
Okay. So the Church of Christ is it's a Christian church. So we believe in the Bible. We do our best to live out what the Bible has to teach. It's like a big family. There's a lot of verses in the Bible that talk about one another interaction. Encourage one another, forgive one another, love one another, teach one another, pray for one another. There's like 33 one another facets in the Bible. And it really talks about a community. Be a community that looks like this, that resembles God. And that's what we try to do. We try to follow what the Bible has to say and not just know it, but actually live it out. So in a nutshell, I hope that describes the Bloomington Church of Christ. That's what I would like to describe the Bloomington Church of Christ.
So Joe, you kind of, I feel like in the past, we're going to pick on you a little bit real quick.
All right.
So, I shouldn't say pick, but really just actually, so when we talk about spiritual wellness, Joe, I'm just curious, what do you feel like that means when you hear it? Like knee-jerk reaction kind of thing. What is your first thought?
So for me, spiritual wellness means that you are in tune with the way that you believe and with the way that you are brought up and your feelings.
I feel you, man. I feel you.
We have a guest star here.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks. Okay, close the door. Hurry. Sorry.
Ricky wants to tell his spiritual feeling.
Yeah, so for me, it's like just being comfortable with your beliefs and your spirituality within yourself, not necessarily being controlled by whatever other people are telling you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's kind of like, you know what? I'm gonna let you kind of take that one, Nick. Why don't you regurgitate back kind of what you felt like you heard Joe say?
Well,
We have a bad connection.
He's
yeah,
like, is this working?
you say, well, and that's all I have to say about that.
Okay, good.
Good answer. Good answer.
I mean, it's for me. I feel like it kind of resonates with the idea of I believe everybody's on a journey. I don't know, Joe, a lot about what you believe, but it sounds to me like you have a belief system of some kind, and whatever that may be, that's a phrase that I've developed over the years because I've got different chapters in my life spiritually. Is I have this thing that I say my current conviction is this. And the reason I use that phrase is because I want to leave myself open to the fact that I'm allowed to change my current beliefs. I'm allowed to change my current conviction. It's allowed to grow. It's allowed to morph.
Okay.
And so, like, whatever your beliefs are, well, that's what they are.
Right.
And I think it's healthy, though, as people, if we allow our beliefs to be able to morph and not just be static.
I like the way you said that.
That's nice.
There's some
like
questions rolling in, Nick, so I'm going to ask in order. Here we go. This one is from my wife. She says, what is the difference between spirituality and religion?
It's a great question. Nice.
That's
Dakisa,
good.
thanks for that. I'm going to send that to Jaime.
And we're going to pass it on.
So the game is hot potato tonight in case I haven't caught on yet.
Right, exactly.
So you want me to answer first, Nick? Is that okay?
Sure, go ahead.
So the first thing I think of spirituality is kind of like what Joe was talking about. So like these core beliefs, these how in tune am I in with the things that I feel convict me, the things that I feel lead the direction of my life. That's kind of what I feel like is spirituality. So more like a free flow thing. Spirituality is everywhere. I kind of think about how joyful is a state of being. It doesn't necessarily mean happy. And so then I think religion is more, you start getting more detailed now. So how do you practice being spiritual? How do you pick up on what spirituality is out there? And religion is kind of that study or that sub level right there. So like happiness. So if joy was going to be spirituality, happiness would be religion.
I like that. I think that's pretty. I don't know. I'd say a whole lot different. I think spirituality is a broad concept, and religion is more of a narrow concept. I think they work together, but I do think spirituality. I would feel like it was that bigger picture thing, like you're talking about, Jaime, and religion is maybe the more funneled, practical manifestation of that spirituality.
Awesome. So John's got a question right here. John Matthews, he's from Lubbock. Shout out. How do we know what God is up to?
Wow. if we could know that, I mean, man, that would be so awesome.
Back to Joe in the studio.
I'm having problems.
Yeah. I think that one, that's a great question. I think there's probably a big picture answer and a little picture answer. On a big picture level, for me, since I believe in the God of the Bible, I can know what God's up to because I read the Bible and the Bible tells me what God's up to on a big picture level. On a day-to-day level, I don't think we know often what God's up to because he doesn't have to tell us. And even if he wanted to tell us, I don't know that we would get it. There's a verse in Isaiah that says, as high as the heavens are above the earth, so high are God's ways above man's ways. And I believe that to be true, that God's ways, we can get some of them and we can get them at a little bit, but there's a lot that we just can't understand. Just like if we had a kid that was 5, what they can understand versus what an adult can understand, they're on different planes.
That was a
I like that.
Good analogy.
It's like I'm scratching my head here.
I was like, I think I needed to hear that right now, actually.
So I think that right now God is currently face palming at this current events. Kind how I feel like what God's up to. Right? It's like, did I push the button or not?
Yeah. So Nick, do you have like some thoughts about people who feel like they're trying to find their purpose, whether it's with God in terms of being spiritual and figuring that out? Do you feel like you have some helpful words for people who feel like, because let's be honest, right now, we're not going to talk much about the details, but right now there's just a lot of different things going on in the world, right?
Sure.
And so I think it's easy to feel like I feel sort of topsy-turvy. I feel like my world it maybe literally has changed some, and how do I even begin to see spiritual aspects to things when I feel like things are so different that I can't put my normal eyes on things, if that makes sense, kind of.
Yeah. It's I've been thinking. You guys made me think. Thank you very much.
Wow.
For the last couple of days, I'm meditating
Sometimes we think of good questions.
Even before I came, I'm thinking about spiritual wellness and what is it and how would you boil it down? I'm like, why did these guys do this to me?
His fault.
So some of the things
called in, he said he couldn't be here, so.
So I got him to blame. So you get a hold of him, and you set him straight.
Okay, we'll do.
I think when it comes to some spiritual concepts that I think are somewhat universal, I think of three things. One is, and I was trying to think of a cool analogy, and I didn't come up with one. And if you wanted to spell something, it would be sit down and listen. I don't know. But S would be to realize there's something bigger than you. So I think a lot of spirituality starts with a concept, a belief, something inside of us that says, you know what, there's something bigger than me. You could get that from creation. That's where I get it from. When I observe creation, creation tells me that there's a God. Creation tells me there's something bigger than me. That's how creation processes into my intellect. Is there's a design here. That's just where I land with it. Mm-hmm. So S is there's something bigger than me here, and then I is to have my identity in this bigger thing. So for me, my identity is in God and not in this world, this crazy world. If my anchor is in this crazy world, wow, that's a rough place to be anchored, because this world's going like this, and it's nuts, and it's sometimes okay, and it's sometimes terrible, and I don't want my anchor in that. I want my anchor in this bigger thing that is not so wrapped up in some of the ugliness that happens in this world. And then the last one, T, is to take time. For me, it's take time to pray. For other people, it might be take time to meditate. And I think that's another challenge for spirituality is 24/7 stuff. There's the phone, there's Facebook, there's news feeds, there's emails, there's texts.
There's live streams.
There's live streams. And so there's so much of this going on that quite literally the time we need to be able to be centered spiritually can be sucked out of our world, and it hurts that spiritual concept if we're not careful.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Wow.
So we're like speechless, and that usually doesn't happen.
Well,
so
right.
you like, we're like, oh.
I'm kind of, so, you're talking about those things, and I think one of the things that comes to my mind, Nick, is that sounds great, but how can someone who, like, if I feel like I'm a spiritual guy, or maybe even Joe feels like he's a spiritual guy, and how can we help others in that same sense? How can we help? I guess how can we help others be spiritual? What are some ideas and things that you think work well in your experience for us to be able to help people be spiritual?
Okay, yeah, that's a good question. Let's kick around this one for a minute. If I was thinking about this, if you think about identity for a minute, okay, if you take the spiritual world out, where's your identity come from? What would you guys say? Where does your identity come? Where do you get your identity from? Or if you think when you were a kid, where did you get your identity from?
Usually it's like with family or friends that are the ones that would basically give me my identity. Like, you're that kid or that does this or does that in that fashion is how I felt growing up. But now it's more like my family is the one that gives me my identity. I feel the most.
Okay, so family would be one.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Cindy. I'll let you go first.
The
I'll let you go first.
The DMV gives me my identity.
Nice.
I'm a number 460.
I think for me, it's about like the topics that interest me or whatever it is I give my time to. That helps me feel like my part of my identity.
Okay. Yeah. Growing up, I don't know how many. I'm really dating myself here, but there was a movie called Breakfast Club. Anybody? Any of you seen it?
Yes, we have.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the four people
TV
in
Land.
the four students, high school students in detention, were basically four identity types, right? From high school.
Mm-hmm.
There was the jock, there was the, I don't know what to call her, the pretty girl or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
There was the nerd, and there was kind of like the bad boy.
Yeah.
And I was thinking back to high school. We had those, and those were our identities. That was my identity. I played football. I had good grades. So I got my worth from those identity markers, but then we carry it forward, and maybe it's our work, maybe it's our family, maybe it's our hobbies, but we get our identity from somewhere. We all do.
Right.
And if our identity was tied to things in this life that can be taken away, then who are we? We don't have much left. But if our identity can be tied to something greater, something bigger, and for me it's God, well, then no one could take that away. Right. And so my identity is so much deeper and richer and lasting. So if you ask me, Nick, so who are you first and foremost? I'd say I am a child of God. I'm a son of God. God thinks I'm awesome. That's who I am. That's who I walk. That's what I walk around with. And that identity helps me weather the storms of this world.
Amen.
Hallelujah.
Can I get a witness?
As you were talking, Nick, so Joe, Nick is making me think of something about you. And one of our guests who showed up, I remember he was talking about, I don't remember who it was, but I remember when he was talking, he was like, thank Joe for this and that. And I was like, Joe has an interesting story, and I don't want to tell too much of it, Joe, but basically the whole photography club that you shared with me one time, where you're part of a club that wasn't what you were wanting. And so you had a specific philosophy, and it's one that I share about, help everyone out. Like, I don't want to hoard knowledge. I don't want to hoard experiences to myself, but I want to share those with people. And if you get better in it, then great. That means we all get better.
Right.
And I love, Nick, as you're talking about that, like, I know it's not as grandiose as God, but I do think, Joe, like, that's what Nick is making me think when I think about you. It's like, that's like Joe's philosophy of sharing everything with everyone, not hoarding it to himself. And so you did something on that. You didn't stick around with what they were doing in that club. You started your own, got a lot of people in and loved it. And, I remember someone talking about that too. And they're like, man, Joe, tell him I give him mad respect for that. And I was like, I'll let him know.
You
It's
should
been a
start
while.
your own breakfast club, Joe. Good
I
job.
did. I didn't like their club.
Wanted his own club.
I wanted my own club, and I also like being in charge. So it helped two things. No, but I like the fact that you are saying that if you start believing in something bigger than yourself, it makes it a lot easier to kind of navigate through these troubled waters sometimes. And if you could communicate that with someone that's having those issues, then that's a way to kind of help guide them out of it spiritually. Is to just say, hey, there is something bigger than you. It's time for you to sit, S-I-T, like that.
Good.
And I think if you give someone those guidelines and they need that, I think that's a good way to kind of do that. So,
Yeah. A movie that Jaime and I both really appreciate is The Greatest Showman. I don't know if you two have seen it. No. Wow.
When Maddie was on the show. Anyway.
Jaime, how could you be on the show with these two people who don't even know what this movie
They
is
tuned
about?
me out, Nick. I can't help it. They tuned me out.
Gosh.
If Maddie was here, she'd totally be on my side. She'd be with me
who?
right now.
What's her name?
Maddie.
Oh, now he remembers her name.
I always remember her name.
Oh, sure.
Okay? She's my ride or die.
That's so weird.
We had a guest previously on, Nick, that she's really a stage performer, or she was a triple threat: stage performer, singer. And tap dance.
And just dance in general.
Oh, dance. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking about anyway. So anyway, she and I shared love for musicals and all things stage play-ish, and
Yeah,
Greatest
that was
Showman came up
the
with.
Jamie and Maddie show because
And Nick, I'm really shocked he didn't send you that episode.
I sent him Dr. Pineapple's
He
episode.
sent Dr. Pineapple. I really thought you would have sent that one too.
yeah, because
I
we
still
didn't
can
say
send
much.
it. I can still send it.
You're gonna need to watch this one, Nick.
All right.
So anyway, The Greatest Showman, Nick.
Well, since they haven't seen it, kind of loses a little bit of its luster here.
Oh, tell
But,
them. I'd love to hear it from you.
Yeah, it's fine. Go ahead.
Spoiler alert. It's fine.
So there you go. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
The synopsis of why I bring it up. The main character, P.T. Barnum, and he gets caught up basically in wanting to hear the cheers from the crowd, and he loses his identity. And then at the end of the movie, he comes back to his center, realizes he got caught up with the cheers of the crowd, and he goes back to a more healthy center instead of being driven by fame and driven by the praise of man.
Oh, okay.
It's a cool illustration.
Yeah.
That was really good. Thank you. I won't watch it, but thank you for sharing.
Right. Thanks for the spoilers. Thank
I'm
you.
going to walk off the show. That's what I'm
cool.
doing.
I feel you, Nick. I wish I could do the same
Exactly.
right
I feel
now.
like I've watched it now that you've said that.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, this is like Titanic. We know that whatever. So
Yeah.
You know, if I was still in Lubbock, I would totally force these guys to watch every movie that we've ever spoken about on every single episode of our show. So I definitely would.
Well, now I know what my suggestion is going to be. The suggestion of the next show is you got to have it on The Greatest
Well, la,
Showman.
la, 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 la. Oh, I'm sorry, Nick. We were having
I
some
like
technical
that.
difficulties there, and we have no idea what you said.
My earbuds went out. We'll try again tomorrow.
So I do have to admit one thing so far in interacting with you, Nick, and I know you and stuff, but still, there are times when I'm like, man, you know, I didn't know if you were going to translate well on the show, to be honest, and so I thought you would, and you are, but sometimes I think that you can see a person who's spiritual or religious, or you know what I mean, and I feel like I in the past have had these automatic stereotypes or barriers kind of thing that come up, and it's kind of like, oh, I've got to be careful what I say, or I've got to be careful how I react or whatever else, because I don't want to offend him. He's a man of God.
You're walking on eggshells around him.
Yeah. And so I don't and I might be biased, so Joe, Sandy, y'all can kind of help filter this out a little bit better, but I don't know that I feel like that atmosphere is around. Not on any bad thing for you, just You feel.
So you're
seem
saying
really
that he's
cool.
not coming across as preachy.
Yeah,
And he's not making us uncomfortable.
Right, exactly.
I can't speak for you two, but
Oh no. No,
Okay.
I think it's great. I think because I think one of the things that you're right though, but if you know somebody's has a certain job type, then you tend to act a certain way around those because you want to appear your best in front of them, and what's it called, the halo effect, to kind of do that type of stuff.
yeah. Just FYI, I'm in computers and IT, guys, but you totally don't have to talk to me about computer stuff.
Right, exactly.
Right. Yeah, and I'm only insurance 8 to 5.
Remember, if you leave Sandy a message on her voicemail, it's not going to be covered. The coverage is not going to be bound or
amended.
Oh, yeah.
amended. So just
Right.
FYI, okay?
She
It
has all
doesn't
the
happen through the
legalese down.
voicemail system. Doesn't happen. So Nick, what would you say are some practices that you employ that help you be spiritually well? What are some things that you personally do? Not
Can
that
I
translates.
modify that question?
Yes.
What can you do for your family to kind of help them with their spiritual wellness? Not because a lot of times, you have your own, but then you're surrounded by your family a lot. So I think being able to help your family, I think would be, we all have families, and I think most of the people that watch us have families. I think that would be a good question for it to get answered.
Sure. Yeah, that's great. Well, I think discussion is huge with family. We still have 3 kids, thank God. But we would talk a lot about, spiritual element of life as a family. What does it mean to me? What does it mean to my wife? What do you kids think about it? So a lot of discussion, I think, can bring kids along and families together in the wellness, the spiritual wellness camp. As far as an individual, I think something that's huge is time. Set time away from all the electronics, all the stuff from life. I connect with God outdoors. So what I just love the most is to go on prayer walks. And like this morning, I was out. I went on about a 5-mile prayer walk, and that is the best for me. Some people, like my wife, she hates prayer walks because she gets distracted when she's walking. It's like, oh, what about that house? Oh, what about that? Oh, look at those decorations.
Squirrel.
And so walking does
That's
not
me.
work for her whatsoever. But
Okay.
she sits out on the back porch where it's serene and she's away from everything, and she feels like she's kind of alone with her and God. And so I think something resonates with everybody.
Mhm.
And if we can figure out what is my thing, how do I connect? But we got to lay down our phone. We got to lay down our computers. We got to turn stuff off if we're going to make that connection.
And so, in following with that, Nick, so our family, when we all sit down for dinner, and right now we've got plenty of time for family dinners. And so we make sure that we disconnect. We don't have our phones
That's
at
great.
the table. If they ring, voicemail can pick it up. Text messages, they can wait until we're done. And we also try really hard to not become spiritually lazy. So we try to pray together as a family. And sometimes, and like you said, just open communication. If my kid comes to me with a question, we're going to try to answer it best as we can. If we don't know the answer, we're going to get back to it. We had gotten into, and you might be familiar with this term, we would back row Catholics would sit at the back, go to church, hope not to be seen, say our prayer, and we're out. And so there came a time in our life when it's like, not a lot of people know this about me. I was in church and they were saying we need volunteers for a CC to teach catechism classes and just to be assistants. And something in me was like, you need to help. And I'm like, who's talking to me? And
like, are you sure you got the right woman?
I know. I'm like, Jesus, is that you? So anyway, I want to say about 5 to 6 years ago, it was when I took a turning point. And I started helping, and I started being and involving my children and actually explaining to them why it is that we don't go to church just to get my mom off my back anymore, because that's what I used to do. I was 18 years old, and just so that my mom wouldn't ask me, did you go to church? I'm like, oh, I went to church with exes, with my club exes on the back of my hands. But yes, I mean, like you said, we're all in chapters. I mean, we're all on our journeys, and this is where I am. And here's this too. Here's a confession, Nick. I love Jesus, but I cuss and I drink a little. That's it. That's and that's where I'm at in my journey.
A lot.
Okay,
I mean,
so
like, I can't stop her, and then she's just like, bleep, bleep, bleep. I'm just playing. I just play. She's got vodka in that cup right there. Right
Yeah, we told her this is going to be a PG-13 show, and she's like, I don't know about that. What was that, Sandy? What?
I know I have to watch myself so much in every aspect of life.
I like that, Nick. And kind of just following along with Sandy, since it's gotten nicer, warmer weather outside, I've taken the last 3, maybe 4 Sundays at night and been cooking out over here. Nothing fantastic or major, just throwing some hot dogs, some sausage on the grill, but then throwing the sprinkler on, or the girls have been swimming, and just going outside and kind of, I mean, almost like what you're saying, like just disconnecting. And, I get so insecure with that type of stuff. And I don't know if any of you guys are like that sometimes, but when I want to try to be spiritual, I feel defeated before I even start, because I feel like I'm not qualified to help my family be spiritual at all. And I'm like, I'm failing every time I even try to do it. But these last few weeks, I've really been like, I want to cook out, but not just cook out, but I want us all sitting outside. I want us all just chilling out, eating outside even. And I know no one likes it. And that's the thing, right? Is different people don't like something about what you do. And so you're like, I don't care. I'm still doing this. I have a point to it,
and you're going to have fun.
Yeah, because Kate and I love to eat out on the patio.
Uh-huh.
But Eric, the flies drive him nuts. I mean, he'll sit there and then he's like complaining about the flies, but we're like, it's okay. We know we have flies.
We all have flies.
Sit there.
Yeah.
Well,
go ahead.
I was going to say, so yeah, I know that. I don't know if any of you guys out there feel that too, when you feel like I want to do something, because I kind of going spiritual. It's like, I think sometimes, Joe, kind of to your question, what can we do for our families to be more spiritual? And I kind of interpreted that question more like, what can we do to have that core, to have that center, to bring us together, to, it doesn't necessarily, maybe for us, it is making sure that we're praying and reading our Bible and things like that. But for other families not into that, maybe it's just, how do we come together better, more often, or, whatever. And so I get insecure when I think about, I want to make those times happen for my family. It's weird, but that's my thing. That's what I have to deal with.
Two things that come to mind with what you guys were sharing. I really appreciated, Sandy, you sharing some things that are new for some people to hear. So that was brave. That was brave of you. I hope you've changed your cup though to water since.
She can't hear us, I think.
Water to wine.
Okay. I could live with that. Two things I think that are interesting. One of the things really great is, I think when a family unit can be together. Sandy talked about this. We did this in our family. Jaime's talking about it. I think having dinner together as a family, when any family can have dinner together without interruptions and be together as a unit, that is powerful. I think that is so underestimated. That is so powerful. And whenever I hear that people are doing that, or able to do that, or trying to do that, I think that is just so great. And then secondly, Sandy, you mentioned, there's a couple things that you are aware of, like, oh, I do this and this, but that's all.
Well, I do more things, Nick.
The thing about that though is everybody has that. Every single person except Jesus was a sinner, is a sinner. I'm a minister. I'm a sinner, and if we can have a place to take that, where we don't have to feel shame and embarrassment and like we're in the doghouse, that is huge. And that's what God's love does for us. It brings us out of the doghouse and allows us to be loved in all of our failings. It is amazing.
I think Carrie has a great comment here.
Oh.
I think one of the most important things for me is to have eyes to see and ears to hear when we are being led. Lay down the control, learn to trust in your belief system. I've been led to go on journeys I never would have chosen for myself, but I feel more connected than ever. Me being in control equals, girl, you aren't that powerful. God.
Oh, that's good, Carrie. Awesome.
That's good.
Man.
And P.S. Sandy, I still have that little sticker rose in our Ruby Jeep.
I can't believe you still have it, Carrie.
Man, we're already at 51 minutes here. Gosh, time flies.
That's always true. We always get to this time, Nick, and it's always like, man, I thought we were just starting just a moment ago, and I thought it was going to be hard to get here, but no.
I was just doing my countdown. It's just crazy.
Joe has terrible countdowns. We haven't told him, though, Nick, so
It's okay. I'm
we
not
just let him
stopping.
go on. It's okay.
I'm not stopping.
Man, you know what the hard part about having the spiritual discussion on is, like, there's always this deep meaning to everything, and you sit here and you're like thinking, you're like, man, that was deep.
Right.
Man,
You kind of have to let it marinate, and then you're like, oh, I wish I could ask him this.
right. Because that'll be the thing is after we're done, Nick, we're gonna be like, oh, wait a minute, how about this and stuff. And one of the things, Nick, you don't just have your kids. You are a grandfather now. Your kids are having kids.
Yeah,
so
it's fabulous.
Spoil them and send them home.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's another question. It says, a lot of people are struggling spiritually because of the state of our nation. How can the church help in the battle against racism in an effort to help our world be spiritually well?
Whoa,
good question.
That is a good question.
That is a good question. And sorry, but we're out of time.
The cool thing about having our own show, Nick, is we don't bend to the corporate will or anything. We can just say, no, we'll go on a little bit longer.
Yeah, we don't have a network guy breathing over our necks.
Nah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So feel free to answer.
Yeah. That's a great question. It's an important question. And I think for anybody in the U.S., and I'm on this page, if we're not, and I talked about this a couple Sundays ago, if we're not feeling an awakening in the recent days, I think we're not really getting what's going on. And so I think what the best thing I know to do is to be able to have healthy, open discussions about it. And that it's not a taboo topic. It's not, we're not going to slap a sticker on it and say you're unspiritual if you have to talk about racism. If racism is something that you're feeling and you got to talk about it, we should be able to talk about it in a healthy and productive way. And I think that's needed,
especially in church.
Especially in church,
Right.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
And a lot of it too, Nick, I think that it starts at home. I mean, you have to educate, you have to talk to your kids about these topics. And I mean, and also, and in your example of how you treat other people. And I mean, I feel like that's, probably one of the biggest areas too, where America is lacking. If parents aren't sensitive or aren't explaining to kids, then, kids are growing up without
any guidance,
and so they're just going based on, they're getting their identity, like you were saying, from their family, so So it's, unfortunately, they'll be a product of their environment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I do feel like kind of what Sandy, you and Nick are both talking about, the bridge in there between there is like, I think it definitely has to start with just being able to ask that question to your church, to your leaders, to your fellowship. Whether your fellowship is in church on Sunday mornings or Wednesday nights kind of situation, or whether your church is, you guys are going, you're meeting at someone's house for a barbecue on Saturday, every Saturday. I think any of those environments that you're in, I feel like you should be able to bring that topic up. That and many more other topics. You should be able to bring those. Like, I appreciate difficult or heavy conversations. And I love being able to talk to my friends and to the people I want to feel close to and just asking them that. I want to feel better about asking my church, Nick, for example, being able to ask those challenging questions. Maybe they're not challenging to some, maybe they're easier for some. But I definitely think it's something to achieve if you guys feel like you can go to your minister or your congregation or wherever spiritual group you're part of and be able to bring up those topics and have conversation on it.
I'll give you an amen.
Hallelujah.
Yes. So Nick, we appreciate you coming on tonight. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Carrie said, Nick, my dad used to say, if I knew how great it was to have grandkids, I would have had them first.
I like that.
Awesome.
So Nick, we like to give you screen time to plug anything it is you want to plug. The only thing is you got to keep it PG-13, okay?
Oh, and also too, just throw in a wrench. Don't be suggesting movies.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well,
Especially,
how can he not suggest movies, but everything that someone else suggests, Nick or Joe can't do, but you're like, we got to do it.
right?
Anyway, back to you, Nick.
Here you go, Nick.
Well, I appreciate what you guys do and bringing positive energy into this world with your show. You guys put a lot of time and energy into it. I just want to say thank you for what you do. The only thing I would say is if there's anyone who hears this and you feel like you're on your journey and you could use some help, I'm willing to help. I'm willing to help you get help. Jaime and I, we're friends and we know each other. You can always let Jaime know. But if you want to know specifically more about God of the Bible, that's what I know the most. I'm here to help. I'm here to help whoever I can. And so if you're on your journey and you'd like some pointers, step up and don't be bashful because there are people who are willing to help you out.
Amen.
Awesome. Great message.
And we ask a question to all of our guests, Nick. We like to ask them if you could give us a topic for a future episode, what would that topic be?
Well, I already know I can't talk about The Greatest Showman, so that's off the table.
Dang it.
Darn.
I can't cause disharmony in you all by picking something that's so controversial.
it really is. It really is.
I was kicking around in my mind, what if anything would come to mind. One thing that I thought of that I was looking up before this is this a podcast? What is this?
Oh my goodness.
The P word was thrown out.
See, there I am. Okay, I just lost all credibility. Okay, that's fine.
No.
So some people,
it's a show. Just say show. It's a show.
It's a show.
Yeah.
It's like the greatest show.
Social undistancing show.
Okay, so now my sin.
Your friends, Nick.
Yeah, y'all were
we
friends.
were.
Also, y'all were friends.
We were. So now my sin is out before everyone, right? Laid bare. Okay. Good thing I'm connected to something bigger than you guys.
Yeah, right.
So.
Well, you've got that going for you.
Yeah, I got that going for me. I got that all day long. So one thing I looked up that I find fascinating, and I wonder if a show would find it fascinating, is if people brought in and you guys looked up, amazing facts about our creation. Like I just typed in 14 amazing creation facts. It's amazing. The creation that we live in is astounding. And there's so many cool things. And just to step back and say, how many stars are there anyway? You know, you could go back macro or you can go micro, and you could say, what about a dragonfly? You know, what are the interesting things about a dragonfly? Dragonflies are incredible. You know, it'd just be an interesting thing maybe to look at some of the amazing facts about the world that when I say world, I mean everything, universe that we live in.
Nice.
So what I'm getting is Nick wants us to do homework. That's all I'm hearing, Nick.
I'm going to look up the Tiger King.
Oh my gosh.
We're going to go ahead and put a pin on that.
And circle back around.
I loved it. I love it.
It's a good topic.
It's a great
This
topic.
is cool. We're gonna have to have a meeting that's probably about an hour long to figure out what we want to talk.
Right,
how do we want to
exactly.
interpret this? But
How am I going to get David Attenborough to narrate my?
Brian Green, if you're watching this, I'm gonna be calling you. All right? My people are gonna be calling your people.
Right.
Who are you calling?
Brian Green. He's a really popular physicist.
Okay.
Well, not that popular to you, I guess. But for some of
like
us in the
those
geek circles,
physicists.
he has a lot of good.
Jaime likes string cheese theory.
You are almost going to impress me there, Nick. You almost had me. I almost thought.
I'll probably discuss the most amazing thing. It's that cotton theorem.
Cotton theorem. Gotta love that cotton theorem.
We've got a cotton theorem expert we can reach out to for that one.
I think we'll reach out to her. I think she's in Miami.
Oh, okay, nice. Well, Nick, thank you so much again. I really appreciate you coming on and hanging out with us tonight and talking with us and being in front of all of our viewers and answering questions too. So
Yes, thank you, Nick.
Thank you so much, Nick. We appreciate it very much.
thanks for staying up later too. Okay.
Yeah, it's great being here.
All right.
Good to meet you guys.
We'll talk
Have
to
a
you
good
later.
night.
Have
Bye.
a good night, Nick.
See ya.
Jamie, make sure you put that in the show notes because
thanks.
I don't want to forget what that is. Man,
Okay.
so that was cool.
That was good. I like him. He was nice.
Yeah, so you guys know, and I'm going to tell our viewers, I am not the most spiritual person. So it's always nice. I'm not afraid to discuss it with anyone, and I like hearing people's stories. Not just stories, but their journeys and stuff like that. Right, exactly. So I truly appreciate that, and it's just, I think it's just cool. I think when it's used in a positive fashion, I think it's a great story to hear.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Yeah.
And you know, just because I'm Catholic, I mean, I have some of my really good friends are Protestant brothers and sisters, and that's how we are Protestant, you know, and I respect all walks and faiths of life, and I will never try to cram anything and say, hey, you have to be this or anything like that. I'll talk to you about it, but I won't, you know.
I'll talk at you about it too.
Yeah.
I'll unplug.
Let me just say, I'm glad Nick was here instead of me being the spiritual guy on the spot because
Right.
Nick's got I don't have a very good filter sometimes, and not because I'm trying to be ugly. I
Right.
have this mentality. I'm like, let's just spill the milk and then we'll clean it up together.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Which is hard to do in an hour show.
That's
Right.
true too. That's
Yeah.
true.
And almond milk is so expensive.
Or lactose free.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed tonight, the spiritual dimension of wellness. I really appreciate Nick. And like he said, he totally gave his he totally said he'd be willing to help out if anybody here in Bloomington or Lubbock is needing some spiritual help or just need someone to talk to. He's going to be there. Just let me know and I'll get you in touch. Otherwise, come back tonight to join us because we have a pretty special guest.
Tomorrow.
What did I say?
Come
Tonight.
back tonight.
I thought I said tomorrow night.
You can-
I'm sorry.
You can rewatch the show.
That's okay. Come back tomorrow
We'll
night.
always catch mistakes.
I miss his name, Joe. I don't want to mess it up.
Vikram.
Vikram. And if you could go check out that promo and tell me how awesome that looks. That dude looks like a stud with all those roses behind him and his red bow tie. He is fly.
Yeah.
And come back with any questions you have about like plants, trees, green thumb type stuff. He can answer a lot of those things for us. He works at the in Lubbock, Texas. He works at the Texas Tech greenhouse and
The horticulture. Horticulture garden.
and horticultural garden. So come back tomorrow night. Bring your questions on anything plant or green based, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Okay. And then we'll be here Thursday and Friday too. We got another exciting guest on Thursday, and then we'll be here for the Tres Fridays episode. Okay.
Yep. No THC questions, please.
All right, everyone.
What would you like to hear tomorrow?
And you guys all have a great night. We love you. And as usual,
Remember to wash your hands.
for at least 20 seconds.
You filthy animals.
Good night, everybody.
Have a
Good
good
night.
night. Toodles.
Jamie, you can send in pictures of your THC plants. I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
Hush,
Yeah.
I don't got THC plants.
But
Oh,
it's legal
sure.
up there.
Here it
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
Hey, so fun fact, our tomorrow guest and Thursday guest know each other.
Really?
So yeah,
Was
it's
it
kind of cool.
Grand design?
I don't know, but they did say that this is the best lineup ever this week for our show.
Oh, really?